Hey everyone, and welcome back to my channel, Complicated Relationships Reddit Stories. I hope you guys are safe and healthy. Now let's see what we have in store for you today. In today's story, the man says, "By the time I found out my wife was cheating on me, she had already left this world." Now this is an updated story, so make sure to stay with us until the end. The story goes like this. Sadly, my 35-year-old wife of 10 years passed away 2 months ago in a car accident caused by a drunk driver during the day. We were going to have children. I had started a well-paying job a year earlier. We had just bought our first house 2 months before this happened, and I sobbed non-stop for 3 days. It seemed like only yesterday that everything was going according to plan and that I would soon start a family. I just couldn't and still can't believe she is really gone from my life. She expressed her pride in me and seemed content in our marriage. The following week after the accident, I received her phone, which was locked with a code. After a few weeks, I found out how to unlock it with an obvious code I didn't think of earlier. I simply wanted to keep photos of her memory, photos of us, and so forth. But I saw some odd things while going through her pictures, including photos of her in someone else's house, a house that I had never seen before. I continued scrolling down and saw the most heart-wrenching thing I had ever seen, which was her with another man. It was nothing inappropriate, but they were in a place that was obviously his. And just by looking at how close they were, I knew that this was an affair. The guy whom my wife had an affair with showed up at her funeral. I felt like I got punched in the gut when I realized I had seen him there. I began reading her text, and first I found out that she was on her way back from his place. 3 hours before the accident, she texted him saying, "I'm on my way." I knew that meant he was the last one to see my wife. Not only see her, but having an intimate moment with her. Also, she would still be here right now if she wasn't seeing him. I feel like I'm going through the passing of a loved one and a breakup at the same time. She did this behind my back and will never know that I found out. In a way, I feel she got to escape the heartbreak she put me through. Although I fully understand death is much worse, and even knowing everything I know, I would never ever wish this or any pain upon her. I found out not only through her texts but her Facebook messages. Something that absolutely enrages me is that she told her closest friend that this guy from work wanted to take her out to dinner, and her friend encouraged her to go out with him. It enrages me because I knew her as well, and in person she was always very nice. But my wife was asking her to get confirmation. Had she said, "No, you are married, do not go out with him," I honestly feel like she wouldn't have done it. But her best friend was like, "Oh, is he hot? Oh, do it. Go have fun." It's just enraging. This happened 6 months ago when she asked her friend about it. A few days later, she talked to her friend about how after dinner and had physical relations with him multiple times. When I read that, I honestly got physically sick. I honestly started going through a breakdown, vomiting in the toilet, then crying on the bathroom floor. I just can't imagine that this stuff actually happened, but it did. How could she do this? But as the days passed and the initial shock began to slow down, I started piecing things together. At the funeral, I noticed something a little unusual, which was this best friend of hers talking to one of her co-workers. This was a friend from high school, and there was no reason she should have known any of my wife's co-workers, but she was in fact talking to her co-worker whom she had an affair with. Then she came and talked to me and gave me a hug. The guy whom my wife was having an affair with came and shook my hand. Something about that just makes me feel sick, like I was being humiliated in a moment of grief. There was him and her best friend who knew about her affair. I couldn't help but wonder, did her co-workers also know? It's been a month and I feel no closer to breaking away from the heartbreak. I miss her and I want her to be alive. If she was, I would probably even want to fix our marriage. But she's not here anymore. I still couldn't bring myself to read all of her text messages with him. There are hundreds, and some are inappropriately explicit. My blood boils and my heart aches when I open their texts, and I get hit with anxiety and an adrenaline rush. My palms get sweaty and my hands shake, but I feel it's important I know everything. It just breaks my heart this guy did things with my wife she wouldn't do for me. The thing that blows my mind the most is that there were no warning signs at all. Not one. Our marriage was good. She never did anything suspicious, and our life in the bedroom went on as normal. Just zero warning signs about it, other than the fact that she started wearing a little more makeup than usual. Then I blame myself for not catching on. Maybe this all could have been prevented. Maybe I should have done this or that. I am broken and don't see myself ever being happy again. I've gotten a response back from a friend stating that she is deeply sorry for encouraging the behavior and not taking my feelings into account. She never wanted me hurt and yada yada. Honestly, I don't feel any relief from her apologies. About the phone, I cannot bring myself to destroy all the truth. I feel like I must read through the entirety of my wife's texts with this man, or I will forever go crazy wondering what did and didn't occur, how often, and maybe get some answers on if they were lovers, was it just physical, or what did she plan on doing. Obviously, in this state of trauma, I cannot emotionally handle reading their conversations, but I decided to keep the phone, to read it all, and then toss it and move on. I loved her for over a decade, and it's not going away like that. I still love this woman, even with the disgusting things she has done. She was still my wife, a daughter, and an aunt. She didn't deserve to get hit by some drunk driver and suffer from bleeding her brain, which ultimately caused her passing. It is the worst thing that could happen, grieving over her while dealing with her infidelity at the same time. I'm emotionally scarred. I will never be the same, and dealing with the loss of a loved one doesn't go away because she cheated. It just makes it much worse. Now here is a response from the community. Is her affair partner married? When are you going to tell the friend that you found out and that you know she encouraged her to do it? To which the OP replied, no, he isn't married and he's still single. I already told a friend, and she first told me she was very sorry to hear she did that, but that I shouldn't tarnish her reputation by telling other people. I said I'm only telling you because I know you encouraged her, and she hasn't replied. But it's only been a day, and I'm not sure anyone would know how to respond. Well guys, the update is coming up next. In the meantime, please give this video a thumbs up if you like it, so that this video will be seen by more lovely people like you around the world. Now here is the update. Hello all. I love everyone in this sub. You guys have shown me so much support regarding what I have been dealing with. I can't say anything has gotten better, especially during this epidemic where I'm stuck and not working now. Just too much time. Anyway, people mentioned getting in touch with my wife's company HR about her co-worker. I have done this and I have asked about it, and they said that there was no policy against co-workers getting romantically involved as long as it's off work. I kind of figured this was the case. As much as I want to get him fired and ruin his life, it was in fact consensual and their affair was off the clock. So I understand that there is nothing they can do. I didn't think there was. I sent a screenshot of the message of her friend encouraging her to her boyfriend on Facebook. He replied that he was sorry for what happened to me, but that she didn't think she would actually do it, and that I shouldn't blame his girlfriend for my wife's affair or her demise. So I guess it's a dead end there, as I'm talking to a doorknob who believes whatever his girlfriend says. I got a ton of suggestions about posting her text and messages to publicize what she did. I am not going to do this, and I really don't understand the point of doing it. She is gone and has no consequences left to suffer, and no justice will be served. She is gone, and I will only be making this more difficult for her family. Besides, it's not really anyone else's business, even if she was alive. So I decided to go through all her texts with him and her other friends. I was going to wait longer before looking, but I just couldn't sleep. I couldn't seem to move on from wondering how, where, why, and not having any answers. Her entire conversation with him was still there from their first and last texts. A little bit of good news is that she expressed guilt about the affair, and after meeting him the second time, she expressed guilt and told him that she couldn't continue seeing him. But of course, it would continue. Their conversations would range from her being very close to him, sending heart-filled messages, and next totally ignoring him. But she would sometimes apologize for ignoring him, which obviously angered me. The bad news is she appears to have been much more physically exploratory with him. She also smoked with him, which I had never seen her do. Basically, she has done things with him she never did with me in our entire relationship. She also had him sleep in our bed on the night I went to visit my brother. Also, she did other favors while he drove to get lunch with her on their lunch break. She talked about it like it was funny. This isn't something I was ready for. I began shaking and puking. It gave me severe anxiety and I resorted to drinking last night because it was just too much. I feel like he took her and her life from me because she would be alive if she didn't go to his place. I have been obsessed with the dates on their messages that they would meet. I'd go back to my social media and camera album to see what day that was. I was heartbroken when I saw they met on our anniversary, and I took her to dinner to the first place where we went on a date. I remembered that day as a very good night with her, very romantic, and we were both so happy and close. I felt like I got hit in the gut, knowing she slept with another man just hours before our date. It makes me sick, and I don't see how I can get over this. My mind is still numb after what I read last night. I just can't believe this actually happened. I honestly wish I never discovered this. I'd much rather have left her phone alone. I'd rather have remembered something I never knew, a lie compared to how I feel now. But now that I know, I need to let go of all the love I have for her. I'm mourning and I miss her so much, but it's time I need to realize she isn't who I thought she was. I have read everything there is to know, and at least I don't think I can hurt any more than I'm hurting now. Here is to hopefully heal. I'll have a talk with a psychologist in about a month, but if I feel any worse, I will go to the hospital because I am close to feeling sick. But I know it's an illogical feeling. Life must go on. I don't think you understand. I never discovered the fact she cheated on me during her funeral, let alone knowing it was him. I am extremely angry, but I am more hurt than angry. I feel like I do not have the strength or energy to be angry. The whole thing has drained me to exhaustion and depression. It's pretty much how I have been feeling, especially upon finding out, physically sick, that nausea feeling in my stomach and feeling of fear and hurt in my chest. I don't feel any better yet, but I don't know if I'm beginning to feel numb to it. And that's the end of the story, but before we wrap up, let's listen to a couple of comments from the community. Here's the first comment. Suffering the passing of a loved one is hard enough, but to find out after their death they were cheating on you while you thought you had a strong and loving relationship is like a double trauma. I would strongly suggest counseling, as that helped me when I found out my husband was cheating, and while I feel like I hate him when he says he wishes he was gone forever, I would never want him gone either. I know you won't be able to talk to your wife about her cheating or how much it hurt you or even figure out why, but since it sounds like you had a happy marriage, just like I thought I did, I'll tell you what my husband told me. And I feel it would likely apply in your situation too, since you were both otherwise happy. He said the cheating had nothing to do with me. He was lonely, had low self-esteem, and liked the attention. I've read a lot of articles on this too, and a lot of cheaters like to feel like they have someone's complete attention and can attract others. I don't get what the drive is, but that is literally what it is for some. Having said that, I'd suggest you keep telling yourself it had nothing to do with you, unless you physically or emotionally mistreated her, which definitely doesn't sound like you are. Her actions were on her and her alone. They were likely for attention and feeling special from someone else. Don't blame yourself for anything, but make sure you get counseling. It will really help. And talk to people you're close to and can trust. While some people can be extreme, others offer much more helpful advice. I wish you all the best, and I'm sorry for what you're going through. Dealing with cheating is hard enough. I can't imagine what it's like when the person you love dies and you only find out afterwards that they were cheating. Good luck, and I wish you all the best with everything. And here's the second comment. Sorry for your double loss. It's looking like she took both parts of your heart with her. There's going to be a lot of therapy needed for you, and it will be evident to people close to you because eventually how you remember her will change. Your missing of her will decrease with time, but you will remember her as a cheater. And so when you speak of her, it will eventually come out. You need to tell people. I read somewhere that her friend asked you not to tarnish her reputation, but it happened to her on the way from cheating. Out of the billions of ways to be gone, that's what fate had in store for her. Your wife seemed like she might eventually ruin you worse than she did now. You mentioned you had a happy and prosperous relationship, yet she went on dates with a guy and had relations with him multiple times after. Getting approval from a friend on Facebook? No second thought behind it. And the fact that that specific conversation is there for your evidence also shows you what you need to do. Your wife was going to keep doing it with whoever until she got caught. The friend, your wife, the other guy all need to be exposed for their part in her demise and the pain that they caused you and everyone else. They just don't want to be seen as part of the cause. And that's it, folks, for the story today. Thank you for listening, and if you liked the video, please consider subscribing to the channel for more. Do take care, and I'll catch you next time.